Hello, and welcome to a new episode Tuesday edition of the Couch Potato Podcast. On this week's episode, I'm joined by producer Adam and first-time guest of the show, Steven, to talk about 2001's Ocean's 11. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, and if you enjoy what you hear, be sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, Google, or wherever you get podcasts. And if you listen to us on Apple, please be sure to leave us a 5-star review if you like what you hear. If you don't like what you hear, just forget you even listened to us. So without further ado, here's Ocean's 11.
Want to knock over a casino? 3 casinos? You gotta be nuts.
Exactly. 150 million.
Smash and grab job, huh? Slightly more complicated than that.
Oh. Yeah. Check the batteries?
It'd be nice working with proper villains again.
You're either in or you're out. Right now.
Rated PG-13 starts this Friday.
All right, welcome back to the Couch Potato Podcast. I am Russ. Unfortunately, Lucas will not be joining us this evening. He hasn't seen the movie that we were doing, which is a fucking travesty in itself, but we'll see. We'll save that for another time. I am joined, however, by, first off, our producer, Adam. Adam, how you doing, my friend?
Doing great, Russ. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Had an awesome weekend. Went to the Ohio State-Michigan game. The game didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to, and I froze my ass off, but it was an awesome time nonetheless.
That's good.
Adam, Thanksgiving went well?
Yes, Thanksgiving went really well. It was really relaxing Thanksgiving for once. We didn't really have to stress out about fights with family or anything like that. It was just eating food and having a good time.
Plus, I think for you and I, first time in a long time, we haven't had to deal with the Black Friday scourge.
Yes, that is another good thing, too. I actually slept in on Black Friday.
You know what? So did I, which for me was 7 o'clock. No, it was 6:45. We are also joined by a brand new guest, a brand new contributor to the Couch Potato Podcast. I don't know if he'll be back after this. I don't know if his family will shun him for being part of such a train wreck. But
they've already shunned me.
Okay, well, hey, cool. We can't add any more fuel to the fire. Welcome, Steven, to the show. Steven, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you. Super honored that you asked me to be here, and I'm excited to join. Yeah, I'm doing great.
Okay, well, first off, you don't have to give us the Academy Award speech. Like, no one is really honored to be on the show. It's just like, yeah, I'll go on there with him, help him out a little bit.
I'm glad you asked me.
Okay, cool. Well, we're glad to have you here, man. We've the movie we're doing tonight, I know you and I, it's one of our all-time favorites. You and I quote this movie pretty much every time we see one another. Am I wrong?
No, man. I think it's funny. It's like one of the movies where I intentionally learned the dialogue so that just because of you and I, quoting it all the time. Yeah,
we hop on IMDb quite a bit just to refresh our memories. We're doing Ocean's 11 today, not the 1960 version. We'll get into that in a minute, but the one that was released in 2001. I didn't know this, but this is getting ready to celebrate a 20-year anniversary next week.
Oh, God.
Yeah, 20 years.
Oh, man.
Adam, as we normally try to, should we send it something like the Weintraubs or somebody, an edible arrangement to celebrate the occasion?
Yeah, we should.
Okay. We'll send it to Brad Pitt, because he's always
eating in this.
Yeah, he's eating on set, so.
Yeah, it's hard to believe this movie came out 20 years ago. It just seems like it was yesterday.
Yeah. One of the things I think about, Russ, is I remember hanging out with you. We were probably both working at the video store or something, so I just remember it was late, smoking cigarettes, hanging out, and I remember specifically hanging out with you, but also looking up how to dress like Russ from Ocean's 11.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I was just so enamored by that sense of style, and the wardrobe in that movie was amazing for those characters.
Yeah, like I'm not really a suit guy, but if I could pull off Clooney in this, like I would totally, I would be wearing a suit every day. I would even do one for this show right now. But instead, it looks like I would look like someone just pulled the suit off of like I got it at a Goodwill. Like, okay, this is close enough.
They think you're. Are you at a wedding or something? What event are you dressed up for? Because I can't imagine you doing it for any of it.
Yeah. Is this like a distant family member? Because if it was like your brother, we would at least hope you would dress up a little bit better than what you're dressed right now. Well, Steve and I will begin with you. When was the first time you seen this?
Gosh, Russ, I want to say I saw it with you, but I can't remember. I do remember seeing it in the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was with you, but I remember seeing it during its theatrical run.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I know I seen it I seen it opening weekend. I just don't remember who I went with.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a lot of vitamins that I used to take back in the day. That's fogging my memory a little bit. But
no, in fact, I remember seeing it. I know it was with you because I'm remembering talking about it.
Yeah, well, I know back during this time too. It's when I would go to the movies and I would see the same movie 2 or 3 times. So I thought it was awesome. So
that's true.
Adam, when was the first time you seen Ocean's 11?
Oh, man, I forget when the first time I saw it was. I'm sure I saw it possibly in theaters. But I the biggest memory that sticks out for me was getting it from either Hollywood Video or Blockbuster Video and watching it at home. I remember liking it a lot more then. I don't know why, but that's just the memory that sticks out for me. And then I also remember like going to Suncoast when the DVD came out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Suncoast was at the mall here in town.
Uh-huh.
The one that's 15 minutes away, so that puts a date on it there. So those are my two big going to see this movie.
Well, yeah, back then we never had a Best Buy, so like you had to get your movies from Suncoast if you wanted them the first day. Because I know like Walmart and Meijer never really carried that shit. Because I used to pre-order, and I talk about a little bit in the Gladiator episode, which you can find on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. But I used to pre-order like anything I thought was remotely good. When I seen the movie theater, like, yep, I'm going to pre-order that from Suncoast. So I'd go down, plunk my $5 down. Like, yes, I like to pre-order Perfect Storm. That's $5 I can't get back, but. I know. Yeah, Steven said, I seen this opening weekend in the theaters, and I think I know I seen it at least once more, maybe twice, just because I don't know. There's not too many movies that come out that were like. It's just the epitome of cool, and this was it. And like Steven was saying that, he wanted to dress like Brad Pitt. Like I just wanted to carry myself like Clooney. Like I just wish I could be just 25% as suave as he was in this.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I went and seen it. And I don't know. It's always been a dream of mine to pull off a big heist too. Not that I would do that. People listening, I would never pull off a heist.
Just eliminate you as a suspect.
Yeah, just eliminate me right off the bat.
It's funny, you watch these heist movies and you think, man, if these guys applied that to just a regular job, they'd be, like captains of industry.
Yeah. That's the whole point, though. I just don't think they want to. I want one big payoff, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Did either one of you guys see the original Ocean's 11?
I did once.
A long time ago, it's probably close to 15 years ago.
Yeah.
About the same time for me.
That movie fucking stinks.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. It's not good. The only thing I remember, I can tell, man, it must have just been the fact that because was that their first film?
The Rat Pack? I think together, yeah.
Together. So you could tell it was just like, they know it's awful, but people just care that they're all in the same, in scenes together. That's all they cared about. Yeah.
Yeah, they just have those weird musical numbers, and like a big chunk of it just drags and just doesn't really make much sense. I don't think I even finished it.
It's bad. It's a bad movie.
Now, see, this is an example, because I've always felt that like remakes should only be done if the movie is like either it's like really outdated special effects, or it's something like where the story is really good but they just didn't pull it off very well. And I think this is a prime example of like when you should remake a movie, because like wheelhouse for me movie wise, like I love heist movies. Some of my favorite of the movies. And this is a really cool premise to knock off a casino. You don't see that really in movies at all. So, like, yeah, the premise is awesome. Just like guys stick to singing.
Yeah,
I would venture to say that this particular Ocean's 11, not the original, but this one is the number one heist movie for me.
Well, hey, I'm going to bring that up in just a minute.
Okay.
So we are getting to that. This movie did spawn 3 sequels: Ocean's 12, 13, and Ocean's 8. Thoughts on any of those? Steven, I'll start with you.
I like them. I like them for. Let me think here. Like I enjoyed both of them, and I think that they knew it was probably a real challenge to kind of recreate the magic of that first one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I'll say this. They were okay to me, both the second and third one.
Did you ever see Ocean's 8, the female one with Sandra Bullock and Cate Blanchett?
Yeah, yep, I saw that one. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was okay. Yeah, it was one of those. I watched it on a flight. It was like between that and another movie, and I was like, damn, I kind of wish I watched the other movie instead. But
was it Anaconda?
Yeah. I think it might have been that. It was Stuart Little, maybe. No.
Okay. I would have chosen Anaconda too. I like Adam, I think you and I have discussed the Ocean sequels before, but just to get it on record, your thoughts on them?
So the second one, Ocean's 12, add another number to it, add another person, sell it a little bit more. It's the European version, I liked it. I liked it for what it was. It was kind of a tone change too from, the Vegas kind of fast paced to the cat burglar esque Interpol kind of thing. Ocean's 13, I think, was a return to formula, just trying to recapture the magic of the first one. So it was only like, that kind of movie is just meh for me, like I didn't like the premise behind it at all. Like, doing another heist is going to make Elliot Gould feel better because he's sick. Like, no.
I know if you guys did one for me, I'd instantly feel much better. Like, oh man, the guys robbed a casino for me. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the premise of the movie for me and the sequels were kind of contrived, I think. And, they were trying to do a tone change in the second one and then a return to formula in the third one. The first one has the charm of being that suave, cool heist movie, and I think they were just trying to recapture that and just missed the mark.
Yeah.
I like them for what they are.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw Ocean's 8 just because I just wasn't pulled in by it. I'm sorry. I don't like the fact that I mean, I guess they acknowledged the others, but like they just kind of glossed over the fact that, this is a new movie, new heist,
I know, like, I used to hate Ocean's 12. Fucking hated it for years. I watched it again about a year and a half ago because I went through where I just, like, what, fuck, I'm going to watch the Ocean's movies. And I actually kind of dug it. Now, I'm a fan. I don't like it nearly as much as the first one, and I wouldn't put it amongst, like, the great heist movies of all time, but I think what makes Ocean's 11 so awesome is the fact that, like, you kind of know right from the get-go that these guys are going to pull this off. I mean, it's a formula, like, they're going to pull it off. At the end, everything's going to kind of wrap up to a tight little bow. But the fact that they pull it off so effortlessly and, like, everybody looks like they're just, to me, like, I think what makes this movie work is the fact that I don't buy Clooney is playing Danny Ocean. It's like, oh, George Clooney's rounding up a bunch of his Hollywood pals. They're going to rob some casinos. But I think what I really liked about Ocean's 12 is the fact that, like, they fail at every turn. Like, they're just getting beat. And it's kind of just a refreshing take on it, you know?
Yeah.
Although I am still irked and baffled by that whole Vincent Cassell dance routine where he's trying to avoid the lasers.
Yeah.
And they have that music playing. It just, I don't just,
The song is really cool, but yeah.
I know. I've seen, didn't you dance to that at your wedding?
I
think I remember that song playing and you doing something on the dance floor.
Yeah.
There are lasers and everything. That would have been cool.
Yeah, it was. It was like they spared no expense. So really, it was like Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, but I always laughed. Visually, I thought it looked really cool, right? But from like the practicality of it, you're like, okay, like kind of like it's first of all nice of them to make the lasers visible, you know. So.
Well, of course. What else is he going to like dance to? It's almost like the lasers were like when you take dance classes, like, okay, step here to do this move, step here. It's like, okay, just follow the lasers.
Yeah.
I know 13 I thought was just okay. Like it just kind of was like a rehash of the first one.
Yeah.
And then 8 wasn't bad. I mean, I think we went and seen that. My wife and I went and seen that at the movie theaters just to go see a movie, and it was playing. Like, oh, you know what the hell? And I thought it was decent. I don't think I would revisit it again anytime soon, but it was decent.
Yeah. A couple times during when I watched it, you know, because they reference characters from, you know, from the original Ocean's movie characters, but you know, I wonder if they're going to have like a bigger part in this. And when, you know, not that I thought that there'd be big cameos or anything like that, but it almost seemed like they were just kind of like name mentioning just to remind you that, hey, this is part of this universe, and you know, and almost unnecessarily, which I didn't like. I thought that felt kind of forced.
Yeah.
And I think that to me, I like once I've kind of understood that, I think that emotionally, like I just disconnected for me a lot, and I think maybe that's why I felt the way I felt about it.
And I know like it just doesn't come off as like, it kind of comes off as a standard heist movie. There's really not that cool vibe to it that the other ones had. Even like 12, 13, they're not as good, but they still have like a really cool vibe, and you can kind of tell everybody's just having a blast doing it. You don't really get that with Ocean's 8.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, though, Adam, I'll begin with you since you brought it up. Where would you put Ocean's 11 if you had a Mount Rushmore of heist movies?
That's number one.
Number one? All right.
That's number one.
What else would be on your Mount Rushmore before we get into why Ocean's would be number one?
Man, let's see here. Drawing a blank on heist movies now that you put me on the spot, though. I know you try to prepare me for this, but I don't have. I know Hurricane Heist would not be on the list at all.
Well, just don't bother answering the fucking question, then.
There's a bunch of heist movies that are kind of ridiculous, like Hurricane Heist, and I feel like Ocean's 11 sets a really high precedent.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it deserves to be number one.
Steven, do you have a Mount Rushmore heist movies? Would Ocean's 11 be on that?
So, yeah, I mean, I like Adam. I think my Ocean's would probably be my number one. Like it's probably my favorite heist movie. I would say my other second one would probably be The Italian Job.
The Michael Caine or the Mark Wahlberg, Edward Norton
the
one?
The Mark Wahlberg. You know, I honestly don't remember seeing. I know I've seen it, but it's been so long. I honestly don't remember the old Italian Job. Yeah, so the Mark Wahlberg one, I really enjoyed that. And then another Soderbergh movie. What is it? I forgot the name of it now. about the Daniel Craig is in it.
Logan Lucky.
Logan Lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's really good too.
That one's my second favorite. I got to put that as my second favorite.
Yeah. And then, I guess it's not really a heist movie. I guess I guess it's really a heist movie. I was thinking, I guess the other one, I always consider, I guess, maybe a heist movie, although not in the sense of like Ocean's is Training Day, right? But I guess it's not really a heist. I guess it's like a single person.
They have a heist in that, though.
Yeah. But no, I guess it's not like, it's more, not like a team of people, I guess.
Yeah. Training Day, we also did that episode. You can listen to that on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast too. Thanks for the cheap plug.
Logan Lucky's great. I love that driver in that.
Logan Lucky's awesome. It's a really good one.
I forgot the name of it, but yeah.
I know for me, Oceans would be number one, just because it has all the elements of heist movies I really like. Putting a team together, they go over the plan. You see them put the plan in place. Like, they practice, they kind of fuck it up, but yet you still, like, there's like a big, like, wrench in the plans. Somehow they still come through and they pull off the heist. Plus, like,
bad British accent.
What's that?
There's bad British accent.
Oh, we'll talk about that. Number 2 would be Heat with De Niro and Pacino.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Number 3 would be The Town with Ben Affleck. And then number 4, I don't know, it's kind of a toss-up. I've always considered Inception a heist movie, although it's not a standard. It's not they're stealing money.
Yeah.
They're stealing information. Yeah.
Not the opposite of a heist, but yeah. No, I follows that same.
Inception's really good. I also like The Inside Man with Denzel Washington. Clive Owen, that one's really good. I don't know, The Italian Job's really good too. I would probably put Inception just because it's a completely different spin on the heist movie. You're still putting a team together, just you're stealing something different. So Inception would be my number 4.
You have a certain affinity for Christopher Nolan too. So.
I do. I am a huge Chris Nolan fanboy. So anytime I can make a reference to him on any of our programming, I'm going to do it. All right. That's pretty much all I really had to talk about, unless you guys want to throw anything out there before we get into the categories.
I think we can get to the categories.
Yeah, do that.
All right. First off, we'll do the tail of the tape. This movie was released on December the 7th, 2001, getting ready to celebrate its 20-year anniversary. Movie stars George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Julia Roberts, Don Cheadle, and Andy Garcia, amongst basically most of the people in this movie have headlined a movie a time or two. Directed by Steven Soderbergh. Rotten Tomatoes score of 83% from critics and 80% from audiences, which I find to be a little low. I don't know anybody that doesn't like this movie, except for maybe Lucas, who hasn't seen it yet. But
when he sees it, it'll be in his top heist movies.
Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap this thing up at the end where we implore him to watch this movie. I think I'm going to put this on all the socials all week. We're like, Lucas, just watch the fucking movie.
Hashtag Lucas watch the movie.
There we go. That hashtag has worked for us before. Box office was $450 million on an $85 million budget. It didn't win any awards, and you can stream this on HBO Max, which I will not take a shot at Paramount Plus this week because it's the holidays.
Russ, I don't know if you looked at this, but I'm looking at that cast again. That's looking at 1, 2, at least 4 names on there that at that time would have been really expensive.
Oh, yeah. I got that in my research corner.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. The William Somerset Research Corner. First off, Bruce Willis was cast as Danny Ocean, but had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts, which at this point, I really liked Bruce Willis still. This is probably towards the tail end of him actually giving a shit about his career, and he wasn't taking movies just for a paycheck.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, Bruce Willis at this point is taking the Nicolas Cage route to acting. He's just like, yeah, you want me to be in this movie? How much does it pay? Cool, I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, I think he's got his list of demands for on set.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gone from like making like 2 big movies a year to where he's like in 7 like pieces of shit a year. I've seen some movie where he was like the second bill in some with a movie with Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. It's like, come on, dude, you're fucking John McClane and Die Hard.
You can say no.
Yeah, I know.
It's just say no thanks. I don't want that one.
It's like, how much is enough? I mean, do you really need that much money? Have some fucking integrity, dude. The role of Linus Caldwell was meant to be played by Mark Wahlberg. He turned it down to be in Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes remake. Job well done, Mark Wahlberg.
Oof.
God.
Oh man. Here's the thing though. Like at the time, I could see like if he's got these 2 scripts, I can see the rationale behind the decision.
Oh, I could totally see it. Like, okay, I could be the star of an iconic remake done by Tim Burton, who was a big director, or I could be like the 3rd or 4th lead in a George Clooney heist movie that may or may not be.
Yeah. So, like, I think everything pointed to he made the right choice, right? Like, when you look at it. But it's just, this is the one outlier instance where you should have gone with your heart, maybe, or whatever. I don't know.
His decision is the answer to "I'll take hindsight is 20/20 for $1,000."
That's probably got to be one that's like, holy shit, did not see that. Did not see that.
I would have liked to have seen him play Linus in the same style that he plays Dignam in The Departed.
Yeah.
Like what the scene in this where Rusty asked Danny how he got red flagged by the gaming commission. And just watch like Mark Wahlberg fly into a fucking tire like, quit bullshitting. I see you talking to your fucking ex-wife. You fucked the whole thing up.
That would have been interesting to see him, assuming he would have played the character the same way, kind of unexperienced. Not a lot of what I say. Yeah, I would just say unexperienced as his character is, and you can see that in his mannerisms and things like that. It'd been interesting to see him play that if he played it the same way.
Now, I actually didn't think it was a bad choice, but I watched the movie right before we came on, and the sequence where Linus has to pretend to be part of the Nevada Gaming Commission to get the codes from Benedict. I can't see Mark Wahlberg doing that as well as Matt Damon.
Yeah.
And right there's like, okay, they made the right call getting Matt Damon for this.
Yeah. Yeah, now that you mention that, I am thinking, that would have been weird. Even especially with the scene with Bernie Mac, right? Because he's one of the reasons that scene worked so well is because I think, like in that moment, Bernie Mac it just kind of seems so much more aggressive.
Yeah,
than Matt.
Bernie's being very alpha, and then like the fact that Matt Damon's like kind of cowering to that, whereas, I mean, we know Mark Wahlberg is like kind of a movie tough guy. I can't really see him like being afraid of Bernie Mac.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, if you have heard some of the stories about Mark Wahlberg back in his younger days, may have not turned out so good. Some stuff may have been said that you can't take back.
Yeah.
Luke and Owen Wilson were offered the role of the Malloy brothers, and Danny Glover was offered the role of Frank Catton, but all 3 turned down roles to be in Wes Anderson's The Royal Tenenbaums.
Okay, that would have been interesting.
Mm-hmm. I might get into that here in a minute about Luke and Owen Wilson.
Yeah, what's weird is I feel like that would have been what I want to say. I feel like their relationship, at least at that time, Luke and Owen Wilson's relation, their presence on screen together, would have been stronger than the characters. Mm-hmm. If what I'm saying makes sense, right? Like to me, I just feel like it would almost like have like Luke and Owen Wilson would have almost been, I guess, too big for those roles. At least that's how I would have
Well, this is
felt.
pre old school for Luke and pre Wedding Crashers for Owen
you're right.
too. So
yeah, you're right.
I know they were just still kind of in the Wes Anderson mold, like doing stuff with him. So they weren't like big movie stars yet. Well, I don't think Luke ever became a huge movie star. Owen was for like a little bit. Don Cheadle wanted his name above the title, like Pitt, Clooney, and Damon, but when producers refused his request, he had his name removed from the credits altogether. So that's why if you see the movie, you'll see Don Cheadle's name. It's because he just had him taken off because he felt he should have been in the same above the title with Clooney and Pitt. So I don't know about all that.
Sorry, Don Cheadle.
It was Bill. They had Clooney, Pitt, and they probably shared billing with Julia Roberts, right? So
I think above the title it's Clooney, Pitt, Roberts, and Damon, and then everybody else is below it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Which I mean, Julia Roberts for sure, because she had just come off of Erin Brockovich. She was an Academy Award winner. She was like making $20 million a movie. She was like the preeminent actress in Hollywood. And then, like, of course, Clooney and Pitt are like huge movie stars at the time. And I think Matt Damon was a pretty renowned name. Yeah, because he had done Good Will Hunting. Yeah, he was a pretty big name at this time too. So I don't know. Like, to me, that's just like asking like Don Cheadle is almost like I should be above the credits for Avengers Endgame, like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. Like, no, you shouldn't.
Yeah, because I'm thinking what big. I mean, he was in the first thing I remember seeing him in is Colors. Now I'm sure he's been in other films before.
He's a great supporting. Like, he's done a lot of supporting stuff, but like he hasn't been like he's not a big enough name to be above the title of the movie.
That's an interesting request.
Yeah,
and it almost makes me wonder like if that was like a real request or that's weird. Like famous people are weird.
They are. We have done as the amount, because I think this will be episode 46 or 47, and the more research I dig into like some of these people in the movies, you find out there's some weird fucking shit.
Like, you're just like, I don't know what expectation you have for that, but that's crazy.
Right. The last one I have is Steven Soderbergh wanted to shoot the movie in black and white. And Warner Brothers agreed to his request, but he had to reduce the film's budget, which he already got reduced once by getting everybody to take a lower salary to get the cast that they got.
Oh, gotcha.
So, they decided to shoot it in color. Which
I'm glad they did that.
Yeah, I'm glad they did that too. I mean, it would have been cool to have a black and white version, but I think color does the film well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially, like, I don't think you could shoot a movie in Vegas and it not be in color.
Yeah.
Because that's, Vegas is a character in itself in this movie, and the fact that you're taking away what makes it unique, bad call.
And I feel like black and white in modern movies make the film feel more noir, and I don't think that fits this movie well either.
No, this is like a lighthearted, this would be considered a caper.
Yeah,
it's not like grittier.
If shot in black and white, if you just take the Ocean's 11 we got, desaturated, if that's what he had in mind, or if it was going to be shot in black and white, if that would have changed the storytelling and cinematography, things like that, to where it would have almost changed, the tone of the story. Makes me wonder. Because now I'm thinking, man, I just imagine you take Ocean's 11 and just take the color away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what's the point of that? Right. I don't feel like, oh wow, it really adds to it. Maybe I should try that. But
I don't know. Like, I'm usually like when it comes to these like studio artist disputes, I'll usually side with the artist because at the end of the day, all the studio is contributing is money to make their vision come to life. This is one of those rare cases. Like, I think the studio made the right call.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah. Oh, sorry, Gus. I was going to say, I wondered when you're researching the cast, did they take take pay cuts of what they get percentages instead, or do they just take?
No, I think they just worked at a reduced salary just to make the thing happen.
Oh, nice.
Because I think at the time, there's actually, I don't know if either one of you have in your research the Julia Roberts tidbit.
Oh, didn't she only take like a certain amount? Like it was something stupid low because she wanted to work with the director, right?
Yeah. And George Clooney had actually sent her a copy of the script. Because at the time, Julia Roberts was making $20 million a movie, which is absurd money back in 2000, 2001. But, just think about how much that is in today's dollars. George Clooney sends her a copy of the script with a $20 bill inside of it and says in a little note, "I heard you make 20 a picture now."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember reading about that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that some of it had to do with working with Steven Soderbergh too. I mean, he was a pretty, this was his follow-up to Aaron Brockovich and Traffic, which he got the old double Oscar noms for that too. So he was a pretty in-demand guy at the time. And then I'm sure that had a lot to do. Like, yeah, I'll work for a little bit less to work with him.
Yeah.
Do you, either one of you, like Adam, I'll start with you. Do you have anything you want to add to the William Somerset Research Corner?
I do. I got a couple of different fun facts here. Not casting facts or anything. But I have a couple of like goofs from the movie, that sort of thing. And a couple of different cool Easter eggs and nods to different things. Like when they're doing the poker lesson at the beginning, and Rusty joins to find Danny talking to the students. We hear Danny telling them that it must be hard making the leap from TV to movies because they're all actors. He actually was one of the ones that went from TV to movie after he left ER.
Yeah, I think him and Tim Allen were like the two big, like when you think of like actors that leave a television show to become big movie stars, I think Clooney and Tim Allen are the two that, to me, first come to mind.
Yeah, there were some of the biggest ones in the 90s to do it, too. And I know, like, Bruce Willis was one of those ones that did it, too, because he was really big on moonlighting, and he jumped to film.
That's right.
And he was actually going to be in this movie, too. So, I got a couple of other ones here that are just, goofs and everything. Like when they were talking about taking the money out and just carrying it out and walking out with it. Basically, and this is a really nerdy fact too, if you had all of that money, and $1 million is 22 pounds, and multiply that by 163, the total weight from the heist would be 3,586 pounds, and you had to divide that by 11 con men. So if they each carried an equal amount, they would be carrying out 326 pounds of money.
Well, not to mention the fact that like somebody's going to have to carry extra, because there's no fucking way Saul's carrying that out.
No, not at all. So yeah, the way that they carried the money out, is just like, there was no way that 11 people could carry out that much money just by carrying it out. They talk about the cut that they each get too. I think the money on hand was a little over $163 million on a fight night. They actually have that written down on a piece of paper that's handed to Andy Garcia, and they, you cut that divided by 11 people, it's about $14 million. And even at the end of the movie, Danny Ocean talks to Rusty, and he's like, $13 million, and you drive this piece of shit. And it looks like that, like if you just divide that evenly and talk about how much it would be to set up the heist, Elliot Gould actually put up $20 million to finance the job. So he actually operated at a loss. So he didn't make any money at all.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure getting revenge on Terry Benedict was worth the money by itself.
Right. And then I also had that in nearly every scene that Rusty is in he's eating something.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Brad Pitt, this is because the whole gang, his character in particular, would be so busy that they'd be rarely able to eat. So he just decided that Rusty would be eating all the time. And he first mentioned it after he was eating after working all day without a break. And he was really hungry, and he thought it would look good for the character as well, since he's working all the time without being able to eat. So would Rusty. So.
All right.
That's cool. I would have thought that was written into the character. That's cool to know that. Yeah, that's something that he brought into it.
Yeah, just on the fly, like, yeah, I'm working all the time. I'm not able to eat, and I might as well make it part of the character.
Yeah.
And I believe, I have one more fact. During the scene where the gang is watching the fountains at the end, they're all just watching, and that Claire de Lune is playing in the background. To have that work right, they actually drained the fountain on one side, and then a rail was constructed on the other side, so there would be room for each person to walk away without them walking into the street and getting hit by cars.
Okay.
But that was an expensive shot.
Yeah.
All right. Steven, did you have any fun facts you wanted to add to the research corner?
I'll share it just because maybe I'm the only one who missed it, because I missed it the first several times I saw the movie. But maybe I'm the only one, but I didn't realize at the scene where Daniel meets with Russ when he's teaching the stars how to play poker, that was actually their first heist together. Like that whole thing about Russ saying, I think he's bluffing, he doesn't have anything. Like, I think there's looks, they look at each other, and I think it's to suggest that they had conned those people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
As like their first heist, right? Before they started kind of talking and recruiting. So I don't know, that's something I picked up.
I actually never
Maybe more recently. So I don't know if that's something I just thought. I was like, I just thought I'd share it to see if.
I'm going to have to rewatch that scene now just because that blew my mind.
Now, like that scene, I never paid attention until I watched it tonight. But when Brad Pitt's at the bar and he's like frustrated, and he's just kind of sitting there with that glass, that highball glass near his temple, I never noticed that George Clooney's walking right past him.
Yeah, you just see him. Yeah,
I never noticed that until today. And I've seen this movie probably, if I were to rank the top 10 movies I've seen the most, Ocean's 11 would be in that top 10.
Yeah.
Never noticed that till today.
So yeah, watching it, like, well, maybe I'm wrong.
Now, are you talking about them actually like hustling, Clooney hustling, like the actors, or the match, or the Incan head mask job? Is that what that's a reference to?
No, not that. So while he's the fact that they're hustling the celebrities, they're hustling the. Yeah, so I think that's what I, at least maybe that's what I interpreted. I took that scene as, especially because at the end they do it. He tells them, he encourages them to call, right?
Mm.
Yeah. But I think at the end, the scene when they kind of come out, and then you see everyone crowd them, right?
Yeah.
They're out the celebrities crowd. They kind of put their coats on. They look at each other, and I think that look is to signify that, like they were both. They con those people, right? So
yeah, that's kind of like what I got out of it too. Is like, yeah, they kind of like,
I never noticed it.
They're putting on like they were putting on a grift to get money out of them. I always found that scene to be funny because everybody's mobbing Topher Grace when he comes out of the room, but like, or out of the club, but like the two biggest movie stars in the entire world walk out right before them, and no one like fucking pays them any attention. I mean, granted, I know they're supposed to be characters. I just thought that was kind of funny.
Right? Yeah. No.
Is that you got any other fun facts?
No, that's it, man. Yeah.
All right, good deal, good stuff, guys. This takes us to the I Drink Your Milkshake Award for the best scene of the movie.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
And Steven, since you are an esteemed guest here on the show tonight, we will let you lead off. What's your favorite scene of the movie?
God, it's hard. So this is hard to say because especially in the last act, there's these scenes cut together, right? So to me, I think that final, the in the last act, as you kind of start piecing together that what's happened, right? And you realize that, oh my gosh, like the audience was also treated as the mark, right? Because they're only given a little bit of information, and then you get the rest. So as that's revealed to me, that's one of the just one of my favorite scenes in that movie. Scenes and just movies, and it's one of the only times I remember the first time seeing that and just being blown away at almost like what the fuck just happened. I just couldn't believe what I was watching. So yeah, I would say to him.
Okay, Adam, what do you got, man?
So I got to agree with Steven just because I know we always cheat and put a whole bunch of scenes together, but that has to be a scene in and of itself, is that whole end. I really like that. I also like the setup too. So if we count the montage setup, that is a really close second, and I really can't decide between the setup and the payoff. Because they're both equally good. And just as an honorable mention, I do like the fountain scene at the end. I don't know why. They're all done. They're all just staring at the fountain, and then they walk off their separate ways. That's cool. But I really can't decide between the setup and the payoff. I really can't.
I know for me, I had as my honorable mention, I had the fountain sequence too, just because it was kind of cool seeing everybody come together. It's just a nice little touch at the end. And I also had the card scene with I called them the CW All Stars because they were all on most of them were on CW shows. Yeah. But I know for me, it's kind of where you guys are going too. But I think it's when the SWAT team is walking out with the SWAT team walks out with the money, you find out the SWAT team is Brad Pitt and all them, and then they're just piecing back together. When they call 911, it's actually getting dialed back to Livingston. Yeah. And then you see everybody it's not as effective now as it was the first time you seen it, but it's still fucking awesome scene.
Yeah, it is.
And like Steve was saying, that blew me away the first time I seen it. I was like, that's how they fucking did that?
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so cool watching that. So that would be mine. But yeah,
okay,
I'm with you though. It's hard to say whether it's, the setup or the payoff.
The setup is equally good. I know you're a sucker for montages.
Oh, dude, I fucking love them. I even like the touch where when Lyman is I thought he was seriously I thought he had a fucking heart attack when Saul's in there watching his briefcase in the vault. I'm like, is he really having a fucking heart attack? Because he's sweating profusely, and I'm like, shit. Things I was led to believe for a minute this whole plan's going south.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the reveal on that is when Brad Pitt's the doctor, right? That's when you realize that that's part of the ruse, I guess. Yeah.
Fun fact about that particular scene: the wig he's wearing is the wig that Mike Myers wore to test for Austin Powers.
Oh, really?
Oh no. Shit.
Yeah. I don't know, that. I'll say we'll just do the bank heist or the casino heist as a whole.
Okay.
Since I'm with you guys, it's hard to choose a particular sequence out of that.
Right.
Yeah, and there's a lot of dialogue in there that I love too. That even if the scene itself isn't great, the dialogue is just really memorable or it's just cool. And I think the way they wrote the just to really show how in sync Rusty and Daniel are. The way they communicate with each other in scenes to where it's even. I think there's this. I might be referencing the second one, but I think it was a running kind of. I want to almost a gag in all of them to where Daniel would, be speaking, communicating, and then he would kind of like where he would cut him off because he already knows what he's going to say. And then so that's the back and forth really quickly, right? And I just really enjoy it.
We need one more? You think we need one more? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Steven and I have said that to one another a time or two. I believe we even said that him and I were at a bachelor party a few weeks ago, and I think when you offered to buy me a drink, you said, "You think you need one more?"
No more.
All right, you need one more.
Yeah, I also like when they're naming the cons. The con.
That took me down a rabbit hole once I had internet access to find out exactly what all those meant. And I can't remember them to this day. Like I know like Leon Spinks has to do with a boxing match. Then Ella Fitzgerald has to be like it's based off of a Memorex commercial.
Yeah, like a recording. Yeah, yeah. I can't remember what, like a Boski or Jim Brown.
Jim Brown and the biggest Ella Fitzgerald ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay giving it to the whole heist sequence. For me, like I judge this category based on like I know Adam, we've talked about this many times. Steven, I don't know if you're a frequent listener to our show, whether you've never heard an episode, but we always judge this like if this movie were on TV and you were to flip it on, at what point, like, okay, like I'm not, no matter what you've got going on, if you catch the scene on TV, like I've at least got to watch this scene.
Yeah.
And I think, the whole casino heist for me, like, okay, I can skip through the lead up to it, but once their shit's going down, like the channel's not moving.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm good giving it to the whole sequence. Adam, that's a good call. Like just not being able to really pick one over the other. So fuck it. This is our show. We'll just put them both together.
Well, and it's shot in a way that makes it hard to do that too, right? Because there's a lot of parallel things happening, right? So
yeah, you don't know they're the SWAT members until like later in the scene, and then it's revealed that they're the SWAT member, and now you're not going to watch the scene without thinking, oh wow, they're carrying 326 pounds of cash.
Yeah, next time I see that, like I'm gonna just whoever's watching that with me, like that's a lot of fucking weight they're carrying there. And I don't know if you know this or not, but Brad Pitt is not Hulk Hogan. All right, so we're giving it to the casino heist is the best scene of the movie.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay. We do have a category here. It's the I Don't Like Sand, It's Coarse and Rough award for the worst or most unnecessary scene in the movie.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
I really couldn't think of one for me, although I'm not a huge fan of the Malloy brothers, so like I would have been okay if they would have cut out the sequence where we get introduced to them.
Yeah.
They're probably my least favorite characters in the movie.
Yeah, me too. Them and Tess. I don't really like Tess all that much. I know she's necessary for Danny Ocean's motivations, but like there's a whole bunch of scenes that are in there where she's just oblivious, and we get it. Like, I don't need to see her blow Danny off again. Like I don't need to see that.
Yeah, I actually like Julia Roberts much better in 12 than I do 11. I think she's awesome in 12.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But yeah, I can't think of like a scene that's a bad sequence. I don't know. What do you think, Adam?
I think if we saw less of certain characters, that wouldn't be terrible for the movie, but every scene that's in there is good. I think it's not bad enough to cut out.
Right.
But yeah, there are characters that are more likable than others, and if we saw less of them, it wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah. I'd have been okay even cutting out where we meet Livingston. I'm not a fan of his character either.
Yeah.
Steven, do you have anything that you would cut out of this movie or you just find to be a touch unnecessary that you would get rid of?
I think there's a few things in the story that I don't think make sense, but that's probably a lot of movies, right? That doesn't make sense.
We do have a category called Unsolved Mysteries of the Movie. So if there's something that you think is a mystery that you don't get answered, you can bring it up when we come to that category.
I will. Okay, yeah, that'd be perfect. I think for this one, I think I don't think there's any scene I can think of. I'd be like, no, it would have been much better if we cut that out. I think given the number of characters that you have to introduce in the story, and you have to introduce who they are and then what they bring to the team, I think that they do that in a way quick, like you were mentioning, like the scene introducing the brothers. I agree. I think there are some, like the brothers, I think that they could have, like, what they brought to the table could have been written differently so that they wouldn't have been necessary in the first place. But I think that the fact that they were in it, I'm glad that it was just, we didn't have to get bogged down with like a lot of backstory or a lot of detail. It's just quick scene. Here's who they are. Here's a quick overview of what these guys do. Right. But I agree with you, because I remember first time watching the movie, I was unclear of what they do. Like,
I still don't know what they do.
like there's just a couple of guys that do odd stuff, whatever odd thing needs to be done, right? I guess. But it's not clear. It's like, okay, obviously it looks like they're good at motors, and that's what they try to establish in that scene where they're introduced. But I don't see them doing a whole lot of that.
I think that
maybe I don't remember. I don't know.
What's Scott's name is Turk, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's like a getaway driver. He's like a wheelman. That's what I get from the whole racetrack sequence.
Yeah,
but I don't know
that's what I think.
I don't know what Casey Affleck's character does. I really don't.
Yeah. So I agree. I would say that if anything, not. I don't know how necessary those two characters. I don't know how much they brought. They brought to it. It was two things. Like even the I can't remember his name. Who's the technology specialist?
Livingston.
Yeah, Livingston. What's the actor's name? I can't remember the actor's name.
Eddie something. Well, I'll look it up. You keep talking. I'll look it up.
But yeah, I agree. I wasn't a big fan, but I can see his character's necessary, right? Like what he brings is necessary. And so they made him kind of like a weird neurotic. Maybe that was their way. They made that character so they didn't have to focus so much on him.
Right.
He's a weird guy who's a computer whiz, and then that's enough for the audience to say, okay, now I can see how they're able to do these things.
Eddie Jemison is that actor's name.
Oh.
And this is the only set of movies I've ever seen him in. I've never seen him in anything else.
And the other thing I would say is that when I watched the movie, I remember the first time watching the movie, it was a little confusing because again, there's a lot of character introduction, a lot of cuts. So it was unclear to me that they had actually recruited him, right? Because I him in the van and is like, oh, maybe he works for an agency. And then next thing you know, he's being recruited. So I'm like, well, who is this guy? Right. I remember being confused by that. Now, once I know that and watch it again, I don't think about it. I go, yeah, he's just a freelance computer whiz. But I don't think they did a really good job of explaining that initially.
Right.
At least maybe it just went over my head. But
yeah, I think the Malloys and Livingston are like the two characters. Like if it wasn't called Ocean's 11, if it was like Ocean's 8, like okay, I'd be okay without them too.
Yeah.
All right. Like I think we're all in agreement though. There's like nothing you'd really cut out, but just like some of the stuff, like you don't really need the introductions to a couple of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad too, because like every other character in this movie, I really like. They all have something like I find to be like very amusing or charming, but except for those three, they just don't do anything for me.
Yeah.
The King Kong Ain't Got Shit on Me award for the best line.
King Kong ain't got shit on me.
Steven, I will let you lead off because I am very curious to see what your answer is for this one.
Oh my gosh. I would say one of the best line in this is the line, the speech that Daniel gives Russ.
Yeah.
To get him on board. And I just think, I remember even the first time I saw that movie, I was just like, fuck, that's cool. I just thought that was really cool.
You're talking about the house always wins speech, right?
Yeah. And I was like, even when I saw, gosh, I can't remember how old I was. I had no context to what that even meant. But I just thought that sounded really freaking cool, you know?
That's my nominee too, is the house always wins speech, just because it's such a great metaphor for, you could use that in any life scenario whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then I just love the fact that like Clooney gets like the audience bought into that. And then Brad Pitt just cuts the tension with a knife. He goes, you rehearsed that, didn't you? Makes that little quip and just like breaks the tension. Such great chemistry between the two. But that's my nominee for the best line. I mean, you could also go with You Think We Need One More.
Yeah.
That's the one that I always equate to this movie. Is You Think We Need One More. And then even the whole where they rattle off like the Ella Fitzgerald, the Boski, the Leon Spinks stuff too. But I think it's the house always wins speech for me. Adam, what do you got, man?
That's actually mine as well. That's my nominee. I actually did have a couple of different honorable mentions though.
Oh, cool. Yeah, please let's hear them.
So I did have the You Think We Need One More as an honorable mention, but I also really, really like Don Cheadle and his really bad British accent thing. Terrific. It'll be nice working with proper villains again.
Oh, yeah, dude. That's actually what's funny about that is when I record the intros to this, I was actually thinking about using that to like a play on that. Don Cheadle's is that a Cockney accent?
Yeah, it's his attempt at it, I think. Yeah.
It is fucking rough.
Yeah, it's what I wonder is, and I looked this up, but I couldn't find it. But my thought was maybe it was like he was, doing his lines. It was really bad, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll fix it. We'll get some coaching, to fix it." And if Soderbergh's like, "You know what? Just fucking, I like it. Just keep it."
Yeah.
It's like, he's like, "Are you serious? You just want me to do it like this?" Because I can't think of any other reason. I can't imagine being on set and everyone just looking at each other when he's saying his lines, going, "Is anyone gonna say fucking cut?" Because this is an awful thing. It sounds so bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure like one of the producers like, and this motherfucker wants his name above the title, and he's coming with that shit.
And then what I also love is he played that character in 2 more movies, and he's just like, I'm not gonna improve on this at all.
Well, I don't remember whether it's in 12 or 13, but you see him like they make a subtle nod to how bad that is. It shows him like reading like dialect books on how to speak, like I guess get rid of your accent or something like that. They make a nod to it where he's reading a book on how to improve his dialect.
Yeah.
I just don't remember whether it's in 12 or 13. I think I've seen 13 the least, so I think it's probably in that one.
I'm assuming Soderbergh just maybe felt like it's not important. It's bad, but it's not important enough. It's not taking away from the story enough to do. And maybe he thought it was kind of just brought some charm and humor to the story. I don't know.
Oh, he sounds exactly like Dick Van Dyke from Mary Poppins. It's fun.
Oh, dude, I never put that together. He does.
Something of like, why did they why didn't they try to fix this? But I couldn't find it. I mean, I've seen a lot of people acknowledging it's really bad, but that's it. There's no like, yeah, it's bad, but here's why. You know
what's funny about it is the fact I read that Don Cheadle, to learn that dialect, like spent time in that area of England to learn how the reflections in their accent and the voice and how to pull off that accent. So he did research. It's not like he just pulled it out of his hat. And like you said, he watched Mary Poppins. Like, I'm just going to do that. Like he tried to craft. He spent time in England learning how like that particular region of people talked, and he still fucking couldn't get it right.
Yeah.
But still, I like Basher in this movie though, so I can't hate on him too much.
Yeah.
The McLovin Award, which we give to the best supporting performance.
I am McLovin.
Now, this isn't like the award. Like this isn't like Pitt and Clooney and Roberts. I think Matt Damon and Andy Garcia, I think, are eliminated from this because they're in the movie too much.
I was going to ask beforehand because I had a couple and then I had some backups.
Well, I think we already established that Julia Roberts isn't winning this anyways.
Right.
But I think Clooney, Pitt, Damon, and Garcia for sure, just because they're in it too much.
Okay.
And plus, I think it's an opportunity to, like, we said we didn't like the Malloys and we didn't like Livingston, but there is a fucking shit ton of, like, awesome, like, minor characters in these. Like,
Yeah.
that I think it gives us an opportunity to talk about them. So, Adam, who's your nominee for the McLovin?
So I'm going to choose Elliot Gould's character.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Only because he can pull off an open robe in the middle of the summer in Vegas and not look bad, even though he's not a handsome character at all. Like his particular character is so charming and witty. Like he pulls you into the stories that he's telling about, had foiled robbery. Like I love that scene.
That also is a one of my honorable mentions for best scene is when he's going over the three most successful robberies in Vegas.
Yep. And I just love that scene. I love his all the stuff that I've seen Elliot Gould in. Like he has that same kind of timbre in his voice. He just has that. I don't know. Is that a New York accent that he has?
It sounds like it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just every time he's speaking, I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I just like that storytelling that he gives to the movie, and I know it's a little part in the movie, and he's just there to finance the heist, but that character is just so interesting to me.
Now, am I the only one that had to look up what remaindered furniture was?
Oh no.
I had no idea what remaindered furniture was.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't know.
I think it's just like it's leftover furniture that they don't use.
Yeah.
Huh.
But like when he said that, like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I seriously asked people, like, do you know what remaindered furniture was? Like, it seriously, like, fucking stumped me and, like, bothered me. Like, I didn't know what could answer that for me. Awesome nominee. Steven, who would you give the McLovin Award to?
I would say the same. I love
really
Rubens. Yeah, I love the character of Reuben. And one of my favorite scenes he's in, and I don't know, I think I'm not sure why. I think it speaks kind of subtly about his character and like as the financer of this heist. But the scene where they all go in to where they're meeting at Reuben's house, and it's when the crew kind of first meets, and everyone goes in except Matt Damon.
Oh, I love that scene.
Yeah.
And he just comes in and he pretends to do small talk just to say get in the goddamn house, right? And he's just so unapologetic about the fact that hey, how are you? It's nice out there, huh? Get in the goddamn house. Just so
you're Bobby Caldwell's son, aren't you?
Yeah. And I just when I listen to that line, it just makes me laugh. So anyway, I love his character. So he's probably one of my favorite characters besides like the main casts.
This one was tough for me. I do like Elliot Gould in this. I'm actually giving it to Carl Reiner as Saul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because he seems like he kind of gives off like that grandpa vibe to where like anytime anyone opens up their mouth, it's just like, fuck, I got to answer this. Yeah. I have to explain to you that you're completely wrong.
Yeah.
But then like they kind of like he's just so well respected in that circle. Plus, he's just as good as Lyman Zerga as he is Saul. He plays two roles in this. He's just as good in both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I seriously thought he was fucking having a heart attack, and turns out he wasn't. He was just got real sweaty, which I don't know how anybody can do that.
Just on cue.
Yeah, just on cue, just start sweating profusely. Like, I couldn't even begin to, unless he has, like, Under Armour thermal wear under, like, that suit. It's just like, it was going to happen anyways.
Yeah.
But I like Saul. I do have an honorable mention to Bernie Mac, just because it made me, every time I see Bernie Mac and anything, it makes me really miss Bernie Mac.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, he's in one of my favorite, like, throwaway scenes in the whole movie is when he goes to buy the vans from
I love that scene.
Billy Tim Denham.
Yeah.
And the fact that he squeezes his hand to get his way, just I thought was so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And as he's talking about like moisturizing his hands as he's doing, I was like, oh man, Bernie, I miss you so much, dude.
Yeah.
But I think since I was outvoted 2-1, I think I'm okay giving the McLovin to Elliot Gould.
Yeah.
Like he's awesome too. Like, you know, like I said, it's really hard to like dislike.
Is he still with us? He's still living, right? I hadn't heard he died, but
I think he's still around.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Carl Reiner had passed away recently, but not Elliot Gould. I think he's still with us too. So, all right, Elliot Gould, you are the McLovin Award winner. I think that's the first award Elliot Gould has won in years. So, congratulations. This category we haven't really been touching on much lately, although I think we have a couple potential nominees. It's the Eric Stoltz Award for the performer that you would recast. I actually would like to have seen what would have been the result if the Wilson brothers were the Malloys instead of Casey Affleck and Scott Conn.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
I feel like I could. Yeah, I would have easily swapped them out. I can't think of anyone else in the cast off the top of my head here that I would want to recast, but I feel like I could recast them pretty easily.
I mentioned I didn't like Tess, but I wouldn't recast Julia Roberts just because she was big at the time, and I mean she was a draw for the movie. You know, I mean even though the character isn't likable, I wouldn't recast her.
Yeah, and I think she's honestly one of the few actresses at that particular time that you could have believed standing up, like going like scene for scene with Clooney.
Yeah,
I can't really see any. I couldn't really. After we were talking, like as we were talking about, like how she isn't awesome in this. Like I was trying to think, well, who could you put into that role? And like I couldn't really think of anybody that would have been at that magnitude.
Right, and being able to pull off dating Andy Garcia's character, as powerful as he was too. Like you need somebody to opposite Andy Garcia in that sense too.
Oh yeah, Andy Garcia in this movie is going full fucking alpha. Like he is like he walks like Vince McMahon. He has a variation of the Vince McMahon strut, and I fucking love it.
Andy Garcia is one of my favorite characters in this movie. He
is a very good villain in this. I don't mind hating him for an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, he does, and you have to, you know, it's probably you make a movie. How do you like write it in a way that like you root for the thieves?
Mm-hmm.
And they made his character in a way that makes it really easy for you to do that. You know, these people are stealing from you, but you want this guy to be stolen from. You know,
yeah, it's like I don't mind Terry Benedict getting robbed blind. I really didn't.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that you guys would recast in roles? I mean, I really couldn't think of anybody.
I can't think of anybody, but you know, now that you say, you know, you mentioned Bruce Willis was close to being Daniel Ocean. I just can't imagine the chemistry that George Clooney and Brad Pitt had. I can't imagine that same chemistry with Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And Bruce Willis and really anyone else, like Bruce Willis, like the closeness of more seen, I think, in the later movies, the closeness of Ruben and Daniel's character, I guess, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't imagine that. Like the chemistry they had with Ruben, I can't imagine that with Bruce Willis.
Yeah, I couldn't either. I mean, Bruce Willis kind of puts off a different kind of cool, but not like the kind of cool that would work in this.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm glad that he wasn't able to do this. I guess apparently they went to him like to offer him something else too, and I guess he just couldn't. He said all the good stuff had been taken.
Mm.
So he must have been up for like Saul or Frank or somebody.
Yeah.
Which no, Bruce, you're good, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if there's no one else that you guys are recast, I'll hop on to the next category, which we mentioned this earlier, Stephen, the unsolved mysteries of the movie.
Join me. Perhaps you may be
be able to help solve a mystery.
Is there any questions that go unanswered that you have been struggling to find answers for? We attempt to answer them for you.
Well, one, I don't know what a matrimonial headstone is.
Oh, dude, I never bothered them.
Yeah, I was assuming it's something made up for the movie, but I don't know. It could be something real. I've just never heard of it.
I always pictured them being those big Mayan masks.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought they were. But
it's interesting. I guess they're worth money. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I think maybe that I was kind of more. I was joking about that. I guess one of the things I always think about, like, and again, just I know you have to make decisions when you make movies, and so I understand that. But like, I always thought it was weird the scene where Bernie Mac's character is introduced, and he makes eye contact with Daniel Ocean. He is, "Hey, sir," and then he doesn't, and then he calls him Frank, which I guess is a name, his real name there. He only goes by Thieves, and in that moment, that's when he realizes that, he all of a sudden knows who Danny Ocean is. But I always thought what was weird is like, well, he would have recognized him when he saw him. Like, he didn't have to wait for him to say, "Hi, Frank." Now, I know that you had to do that for the audience so that you can see that. I always just thought that was like, there's a better way to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought that's one thing I always thought that was weird. It didn't make sense to me. Other is Julia Roberts' character. Like, it doesn't see, again, they don't go into a lot of her history, but just like, okay, you're the art curator for like the largest casinos in, like, but they give no nod to like why she would have that role, other than she has to be there for Daniel Ocean to want to rob this bank, right? That's the only reason she's there, right? So I always felt like, I felt like that's a little bit of that was just forced in the story, it feels like, or maybe they just didn't explain it, right? So it was just like, it's just always kind of a mystery to me, because I don't know. It just seems like it's just something a convenient thing the writers just wrote in versus something that makes sense with the character.
Why would an art curator marry a thief?
Yeah.
Or did she know he was a thief before he had that job? Or
no, she actually calls him a liar and a thief, so he never told her that he stole for a living.
There you go.
And I will answer your question, Stephen, with a little something that we have used here on the show from time to time: movie magic.
It's
just movie magic. That's all it is.
The story needs it. So
yeah, just sprinkle a little movie magic in there.
Yeah.
Fuck all these external circumstances. Like, it's all about the heist. No one gives a shit what school Julia Roberts went to become an art curator. Movie magic.
Yeah.
Adam, do you have anything?
Yeah. So one of the things that bothered me, it was kind of like a plot hole. Where Benedict is down in his destroyed vault after it's been blown up, and the thieves are gone, and he's talking. Thieves are gone. I don't know if nobody can see me. Air quote. Thieves are gone, and the SWAT team's talking to him, and of course the SWAT team are the thieves. And he doesn't ask the SWAT team what the thieves look like. He doesn't ask the SWAT team how they escaped, because the SWAT team was down. The SWAT team was down there with them supposedly. And they were having a shootout, and they're like, "Oh, well, they escaped with the money." Okay, where did they escape from? How did they escape? How did you let them escape? He doesn't ask any of those questions. He's just like, "Okay, I believe you because you're the SWAT team."
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do, though, right? Take them at their word.
I guess.
Yeah, I remember watching a YouTube video, like, where these professionals, like, they watch movies about stuff to, test the realism. And one of them was a security specialist rating heist movies. And then they did Ocean's 11. One of their biggest ones was just like, yeah, there's no way. There's like 1,000, just so many things. Like, yeah, there's 100%, no way that Daniel Ocean would even be allowed near these casinos. Right? He would have been arrested as soon as he saw them from us, things like that.
Yeah.
Also, movie magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say that there's no big. There's a few things I will say conveniences that the screenwriters took to make a really good story, but I don't think there's anything outside of just being completely unrealistic to plan anything to that level of accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
Down to the exact timing of when Tess would be walking into a hallway or walking into a room to receive a message, right?
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, I don't think there's any major glaring things that I feel like, oh yeah, that's a huge just oversight in the story right here.
I have one. How the hell do the Malloy brothers manage to pull off so many different roles inside that casino and no one knows, and that staff know who they are?
Yeah.
They argue like they were the balloon people.
Yeah.
They were the waiters. Yeah. They brought the cart of Terry Benedict stuff into the vault. And I think they did something else and no one notices it. Like, these guys were maitre d's like 20 minutes ago. Now they're like security guards.
I might be wrong, but correct me if I am. Doesn't one of them wear a dumb curly movie mustache to disguise himself at one point?
Yeah, I think they do when the balloons, like they lose the balloons so they could send Livingston in to tap into their security system. But outside of that, though, like during the heist itself, they were maitre d's or like waiters, and they even ditched their clothes inside the elevator.
Yeah.
And they're wearing security outfits, and like nobody notices. Like, there's none the wiser about it.
Some waiters are walking around naked somewhere.
And I'm sure that would have raised a flag at some point.
Yeah, the other thing too is now, like, realistically, all those people now, he knows that who took their money. They're all on camera, all of them. That's one of the things the security specialist said is, well, now that the money's gone, they're actually all on camera, right? So now you know who to look for, and you can watch them on your security. I know the movie, they found ways to do that, but yeah, there's a lot of things that realistically just complete impossibility for it to happen. But awesome, completely awesome story, nonetheless.
But like at the end of the day, though, I think it's what makes movies like this so great is like the fact that you don't really have to put much thought into it. And I think going back to what I was saying earlier, like the formula itself for this movie is like, this is paint by numbers heist movie stuff. But the fact that like you've got Clooney basically being Clooney, you got Pitt being Pitt, you got Soderbergh directing him, and everybody's just being, like doing their thing. It's just, I think it's what makes this movie so awesome.
Yeah. And nothing is so out of the realm of disbelief that it draws you out of the movie either. Like, it's escapism at its finest. It's like, okay, I don't need to know if this is actually realistic or not. I just like watching it and
yeah. I think the story is it's told so well that I don't even think about those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those. Honestly, Russ, the only reason I thought about it is because I'm like, well, I'm just coming up with some things like when you think about it, it's like, oh, that's absolutely makes no sense. But I think, it's told and it's done in such a way that you're like, oh gosh, there's no way that they would be able to dress a SWAT team, go down through the thing, right? But it's just the story's told so well, you don't.
Yeah, and movies are that way on purpose. Like you don't, like, if you're watching Star Wars, you're not going to try and test the believability of a giant, like, bear creature and his pirate, captain going around.
I have actually done that, so don't knock the hustle.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, there's no way time travel would work that way. That's how, I always...
everybody knows that you have to have a sports car that can go 88 miles an hour with a flux capacitor.
I become the expert on something I knew nothing about. Like,
thanks to the movies that we know and love.
Yeah.
The last category we got is the "I'm the King of the World" award for who wins the movie.
I'm the King of the World.
Basically, it's like when you think of this movie, is who or what like makes this movie as good as it is.
Yeah.
So, Steve and I will let you lead off here. Who is your award winner or who wins the I'm the King of the World award?
It's hard for this movie because I think this, like heist movies, and I think this is I think a key thing that's in the storytelling that's I think maybe the way Soderbergh decided to tell the story is that I guess to get quickly, it's hard for me to choose one person, right? Because it's like obviously for the story to work there, it's everyone and that's like that with any movie, but I don't know. I feel like everyone got good screen time. Mm-hmm. Right. So I don't feel like anyone had a chance to outshine anyone in a significant way. Right. But if I had to say, here's the person, when I think about whose movie is this? Like, I think Brad Pitt, to me, had the coolest scenes. He was in the coolest scenes to me. And if I'm going based on that, I would say Brad Pitt to me. Like, that's I think he's like I would say looks the coolest in the movie, comes out the winner, I guess, to me, right? But again, I don't think it's so much like he is great in this and he's so much better than everyone else like that. It's hard to choose for this movie, to be honest. So.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, who do you have?
Well, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, everybody in this movie has excellent screen time and everybody plays a role. I think that Brad Pitt is really cool in this movie, and I think that the character of Rusty it's kind of like a character he's played in other films, but he's dialed back a little bit or dialed up from some of his other films. So like he plays that kind of character. I think that if I were to choose between him and Clooney, it would be Clooney, but only because in the movies that Clooney plays in, just off the top of my head, like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, or Burn After Reading, which he was in that movie with Brad Pitt. Batman and Robin.
We don't acknowledge that movie here on this show, Adam.
See, there you go. That's one of the things. It's like those movies like are vastly different from one another, and he plays a different character in each and every one of them. And this movie, I think, plays to his strengths more than it plays to Brad Pitt's strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you think of Ocean's 11, he's Danny Ocean. And, again, everybody has their own screen time and their own time to shine in this movie, and it doesn't go to one singular person, but I think it plays to George Clooney's strengths a little bit more.
Yeah, I actually have Pitt and Clooney both. Just because the two of them together, like we've done a couple of movies recently where we've talked about like great on-screen movie duos. Like Adam and I did Toy Story a few weeks ago, and we were like Buzz and Woody is an iconic screen duo. And then our critically panned Midnight Run episode, which everybody hates, we talk about De Niro and Grodin, how great they are together. At least me and Lucas thought that. But like Pitt and Clooney are great together too. Like their chemistry is like just fucking off the charts. Like you could tell these two guys are like friends outside. Like when they're not making movies, these guys like legitimately seem like they're friends.
Yeah. Like I would have assumed. Like I'd be surprised if I heard in real life they don't really talk that much. Like,
I know. But they both are just like. They're so good without putting any kind of effort into it at all. I mean, they're seriously like, it's just like Adam, you said that like, this is Clooney, this and Out of Sight. I think when I think of George Clooney, like the person, like those are the two roles I identify with Clooney the most. Like, I mean, he's won an Oscar for Syriana. He's done some other stuff, but like George Clooney being George Clooney, it's this and Out of Sight. And I think if I were to give this, I would probably give it to Clooney just a little bit more because the story kind of revolves around Danny more. But then they end up paying that back because Ocean's 12 revolves more around Rusty than it does Danny. Danny's a secondary character in that movie.
Yeah.
So I'd probably give it maybe the slight edge to Clooney just because it is his movie. But you guys both bring up great points. I mean, I think we'll just give it to both of them.
If you give it to both of them, it's your podcast. It's your rules. We'll give it to both.
Honestly, fuck it. I would choose, I would say, I would add more to that, right? Because when you think about, like, if I were to answer that question for a different movie, I would say, like, I don't know, this is probably like a really bad example, but like when I think about Boogie Nights, right? I feel like like Burt Reynolds to me is like a character that, like, man, if that, like, he is so, like, his role in that is so important, I feel like, in that movie. That Burt Reynolds' performance in that. And I think him singularly would have a bigger impact if he wasn't in that. Whereas I think the storytelling with Ocean's 11 is dependent on so many characters that it's almost like you would almost have to say 3 or 4 people could fit that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I'd say add more. I know we're doing 2. You could, there's probably room for more if you wanted to. So,
well, 2, it's like when we were talking about, like, Bruce Willis was originally cast as Danny Ocean. Just imagine how different this movie is with him as Danny Ocean instead of George Clooney.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you get, like, the vibe with him and Pitt. I don't think comes off nearly as well.
Right. No, yeah, I agree, man. I yeah, no, totally. I can't even picture. I don't even like thinking about it. It makes me feel weird. It's the same feeling I get every time I hear that John Travolta auditioned for Forrest Gump. I don't know, like, if he was in the running to get it, but I was just like, God, I can't even picture that. Like, I can't even, like, in my head picture that.
Right.
Yeah, there are a few actors that were up for Forrest Gump, too. Also, you can listen to our Forrest Gump episode on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts. Thank you, Steven, so much, man. I'm just going to bring you on.
Dude, I'm just tossing them up, man.
It's like you're Magic Johnson, and I'm just Kareem, just fucking dunking. But yeah, I just think without Clooney, like, this is a movie star role. You don't have to be, like, Daniel Day-Lewis or... an esteemed actor. This is just a movie star being a movie star.
Yep.
And
it'd be cool. Yeah. Just being.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're just going to give it to both of them just because fuck, it's our show. We'll do whatever we want.
I like that.
Do either one of you gentlemen have anything you would like to add before we wrap this up?
I'll say that one of the, Russ, we talked about this is a movie we quote a lot. And I mentioned earlier how just the impact it had on me. And I just want to share that this is a movie, I would say one of my favorites, because it's a good movie where, like, if I'm feeling, I've used it in the past when I've been feeling scared or anything like that about something I have to do. This is something I think about to, like, psych myself up. In fact, when I first became a project manager, and this was probably like around 2012.
Were you going to ask me to rob the place with you?
Yeah. I said, well, if you guys are free, yeah, I can use some help.
I got to hit up a Goodwill, see if they've got those flashy shirts in a size large or XL.
Yeah. But I remember, like, being a project manager, I was really scared of, like, now being in charge of, like, coming up with these plans and making sure you get the right people in to do it. And one of the things that I would do to, I guess, psych myself up in these moments of fear when I, like, have a lot of eyes on me is I would pretend I'm Daniel Ocean putting together a heist.
Really?
And I'm like, oh, Danny Ocean wouldn't be freaking out about it. He would freaking, okay, think about what you need done. Who do you know that does that, right? And, and I remember, like, thinking through that really helped change this fear I had about this new role into something that I'm just like planning a heist. It's just like planning a heist, and it made that job easier for me over time. Yeah,
that's a cool story, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see, like, Lucas isn't on the show. We get, like, people bringing real shit on this.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I think that's even now, I mean, still if I'm faced with, like, oh, this is a really big undertaking, that's thinking about it as putting myself in, hey, I'm just Daniel Ocean, and this is just our next heist, and you'll figure it out. That, like, kind of gets me pumped to get going on it.
Dude, that's really fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
Adam, can you top that?
No, I can top that. I just want to say that this is one of those movies that that when you think about a Hollywood movie, like just a fun star-studded movie, like this is one of those movies that I think of immediately off the bat, and not just because of the cast that's in it, but just the story overall. It's just that cool Hollywood, the costumes, the acting, the setting, it all comes together in that cool Hollywood, that stereotypical kind of thought, when somebody mentions a movie that's like that. And I just love the fact that every time I watch this movie, it just makes me want to watch more movies like it. And
which they don't even make anymore unless it's a superhero movie.
Right. Yeah. Like you don't get to see this kind of movie a lot anymore. And you don't get to see a star-studded cast unless it is a superhero movie because they cast so-and-so as a superhero, So I think that this movie is just one of those, few that you can name off of just, a short list of movies. It's like, this is what I think of when I think of Hollywood,
Yeah. Well, good stuff, guys. Steven, thank you so much for hopping on here, man. When I made up my initial list of movies we were going to do on this show, this movie was on there, and I said I had to get you on here to do this. So thank you so much for coming on and doing this, man.
Yeah, man.
And Adam, I didn't know you loved this movie as much as we did, man. That's really, really cool.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, see, we don't need fucking Lucas.
He needs to watch this movie, though.
He does. Yeah. Well, trust me, you're going to hear about it a lot on our social media. So, all right. Well, it's been awesome, guys. Thanks so much. And that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the Couch Potato Podcast. Thanks once again to producer Adam and Steven for coming on and talking about one of our all-time favorites, Ocean's 11. That was a fun episode. And coming up next Tuesday, I think we're doing The Matrix, which is just in time for the new Matrix movie that's coming out right around Christmas, which you can watch in theaters, which that looks like a movie theater movie, not going to lie. Or you can watch it on HBO Max. So, once again, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. And if you dig what we're doing, please leave us a 5-star review. And if you don't, once again, just forget you even listened to us. So until next Tuesday, we will talk at you guys later.